Hello everyone, welcome to my giant seaweed guide. I'm going to teach you how to collect seaweed spores and grow giant seaweed and have a great time while doing it. You're not going to have to ever touch charters again if you do this method, and honestly, I can't stand charters. I'd much prefer to add seaweed to my farm runs and collect seaweed passively. Worry about the buckets of sand later. You get your dailies from Bert anyway. What a champ. So yeah, let's get cracking. First off, you'll need a few requirements. You'll need your 23 farming to farm the giant seaweed, and you'll also need to be able to access Fossil Island by doing that bullshit quest with the boat. It's handy to have dig site pendants to be able to quickly get to Fossil Island, but if you don't, just make your own way there. It doesn't really matter. And from there, I'll show you how to get to the lobstrosities that you'll be killing, what kind of gear setup I use, and of course afterwards, I'll show you how to blow the seaweed into glass. Okay, so here we are on Fossil Island. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to run. This is the agility shortcut if you have 70 agility. If not, take the long way around, which is obviously through this way over here, and we're going to run north. And we're going to run north to the small rowboat like the one in the camp. And once we've unlocked this, we can actually use the camp rowboat to row straight up here, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Alright, so now that we're here, we're going to travel with the rowboat and hope that a crab doesn't disrupt the chat log. We're going to, fuck off. These things suck. Row out to sea. We're going to be on this little island. Now I'm going to just quickly dive down here. It's going to ask me to get breathing shit sorted. I don't really give a fuck. And this is our giant seaweed growing here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to, and sorry, my bank is absolutely disgusting. I'm going to show you how to collect seaweed spores so that you can grow giant seaweed. So I'm going to wear the best armor I have, but I'm going to mix it with some weight reducing gear so that I can wear it. So I'm going to get the spottier cape out. You can wear graceful. I'm going to go the graceful boots and gloves when I find them. I'll just search for graceful. Apparently I'm wearing them already. No shit. Wear the Fury. Alright, to kill lobstrosities you need to either use a brine saber or a trident of the seas. Now you should use the brine saber because you shouldn't waste trident charges on something that's pretty easy to kill and doesn't really drop much in the way of death runes. It drops some but not much. So the brine saber is definitely the way to go. The issue is getting one. Brine rats. They're actually a really good thing to camp if you're an Ironman. You get lots of noted raw fish including sharks. You can get plenty of death runes. They drop 7 at a time. And you can also obviously get the brine saber, which is, in my opinion, worth camping for, just for the lobstrosities. So the gear setup is maxing out my melee defense because the lobstrosities hit more than they should really, and some weight reducing gear because you can't go underwater if you weigh too much. Now, I can't go underwater because I'm holding my brine saber. Silly me. Dive anyway, because you don't need to breathe, because we'll be camping underneath water bubbles. Now here I've got some giant seaweed growing, as you can see, and I'll get back to that and harvest it once I've shown you how to collect some spores from lobstrosities. So this is the way we go. I don't think putting run on makes any difference. You can swim faster in here with flippers on, but you look like a total mong, so I don't know, don't bother. And so we'll go through this plant door here, and these bubbles, they will push you off your line, they'll stop you swimming in certain places. Just ignore them. If you get stuck, go around some. You can auto path pretty much the whole way there. I think I'm going to get lucky here and be able to just go straight in, which is fantastic. And this little entrance here is where the lobstrosities are. We need to navigate this obstacle. I have no idea if there's an agility requirement for it, but if there is, just get it. It's probably really low anyway, because most of Fossil Island's really mid-low level content. Alright, these air bubbles we can just sit in and they will replenish our oxygen, which is fantastic. Now I should note that lobstrosities are aggressive creatures, and I'm guessing I've just hit the combat level where they no longer attack me. So I'll wield my brine saber. It's best to actually stand over here where they can't attack you. When you first come in, that's the best time to wield your brine saber, because it's really annoying to try and wield it and hit the message log so that you can actually put it on. Now I'm swimming with my brine saber. When they first released this, it was much cooler. You'd walk on the sea floor like that, and you wouldn't swim like an absolute mong. So this is lobstrosity killing. It shouldn't hit me too much. My defense is pretty high. I've got Dark's armor on, but I'm attacking with a shithouse weapon, so there's that. Now I'm going to fast forward until I hopefully get some seaweed spores to show you what that looks like. Alright, so here I am in Castle Wars Bank after completing one inventory at Lobstrosities. Now, as you can see, I've got 54 giant seaweed noted from killing the Lobstrosities. Now, normally I wouldn't expect to have this much. Normally you get a fairly even split between normal noted seaweed and giant seaweed, but this time around I seem to have only gotten giant seaweed, which is very lucky. Goodbye to this guy, get kicked hard. Alright, and also I've collected oyster pearls because, in my opinion, pearl bolts are going to be very useful when dragon bolts come out. So I've got my 2 seaweed spores here, which is what I need for farming the giant seaweed, as well as 54 bonus giant seaweed, which is actually equal to 324 soda ash. So from here, I'm going to head back to Fossil Island, get my dig site pendant out, and we're going to actually do some farming now. Now, what I'll show you is, now that we've unlocked the boat at the top of the island, we'll be able to get back there very quickly. This is such a stupid way to get to this island though. Alright, so we can travel with the rowboat and go to the north of the island, and we are instantly back here. And then we can, ooh, wrong one, go out to sea. Alright, so I'm just going to use the bank chest and deposit pretty much everything. I have a very full bank, so I might get back to you when I have sorted out dropping some shit. Alright, so here I am in Port Phasmates, and the reason that I am here is to show you how to turn your giant seaweed into molten glass. So, if you are glass blowing, you can either do 3 giant seaweed and 18 buckets of sand, so 6 sand to 1 seaweed, and you do your super glass make, and what you'll have is molten glass fall on the floor because you'll have an excess. Now, for some reason this seems to be the done method, but I don't see why I should be standing here spamming clicking on the ground, wasting my time to pick up molten glass. So I personally just do 2 and 12, because that way I still get a good amount. That's actually a really shit amount, but I still get a good amount. I'll do it again, hopefully, to provide a better example. That's better. So I still get a good amount of molten glass, it just means I don't have to stand there picking up. It obviously means I use more runes and cast more spells, but personally I do not care about that in the slightest. If you don't have the 77 magic for super glass make, then you can turn your seaweed into soda ash manually, which actually does not take long at all. As you can see, you get your 6. So you can have 4 seaweed in your inventory and you get exactly 6 soda ash per seaweed. Then you can take your soda ash. I've got 18 there. and your sand and do 50-50 ratio and just use them on the furnace. And you can make your molten glass this way. Now, the issue here is that you get more crafting XP per molten glass that you make by doing this method. However, the super glass make spell gives you a bonus amount of molten glass, as you saw from when I had to drop some on the floor. Some people argue, and I've seen it in the Ironmen CC, that you get better crafting XP per molten glass by making the molten glass manually, but this is actually not true, because the bonus amount you get from the super glass make spell means that you have that many more orbs or lantern lenses or whatever you're making that outweigh the small amount of crafting XP you get from using it in the furnace. So I recommend using the super glass make spell if you can. If you can't, obviously 77 mage is a reasonably high requirement. You do you, ultimately. You play the game to enjoy it, so do whatever you feel like doing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this giant seaweed guide. I'm going to follow up with my method for collecting sand, because I hate charters. I'm not ever going to do charters. I'm 88 crafting without doing charters, so hopefully other like-minded people are up to doing this method instead. Alright, bye!